Hi guys, here's the tutorial that I promised. We are going to be making these little resin charms. This one in particular has a lobster clasp, and that's quite handy because then you can just clip them onto whatever you would like. This is my upcoming journal. I decided to do burgundy this time. You can also attach them to a ball chain. That could also go through an eyelet. It could be on a journal card, anything you like. And I've also put the little lobster clasps on the end of dangles, and you can do them any size you like. That's a little one there. I also put them on tassels. That's a leaf one there. Okay, so if that's what you are tuning in for, then let's go. Also did some experiments with some larger ones because I had a couple of fails. I shall show you the fails over here. They seem to bow up in the center when I put them under the heat lamp, and the back of them didn't work. So I've done quite a bit of work on that, and I'm glad I can show you today the difference. I will also be using two different resins. This one I've used before in a tutorial that I've done, and this was one that I found on Temu, and I thought I would give it a go. Why not? And I've got to say, I can't really tell the difference between the two. This is the two that I tried here. I can't notice a difference other than the plant that I've captured inside of them. They're both meant to be non-yellowing, although I don't really mind if they go a little bit yellow because my junk journals by nature are quite grungy, so the older it looks, I guess, the better. So the one on the left is the Artmore resin, and the one on the right is the Temu resin. Now the Temu resin was like a third of the price. It was about $10, so I thought, well, why not try it? And I'm glad I did because, like I say, I can't see much of a difference. Okay, I'll just show you a quick drawing. So if we look, this is the mold that I had lost. Love this guy. I will put the links for the two resins, this mold, and the heat lamp that we'll be using in the description. But this guy here, if I hold him side on and I draw a really badly drawn picture like that, so that's our resin mold side on, what we need to do is we need to make a sandwich. So there needs to be resin here filling that bottom layer. Then we need to put in our flower or leaf, and then we need to fill another layer of bread on the top and obviously in here so that we capture the plant or the leaf in between the layers of resin. Okay, just in case you can't see what I'm doing when I'm actually filling this guy with resin. So I will make a nice little small one to show you guys today. Now I think I have weeded out some errors of my boo-boos, and I think it's to do with the heat setting, because even though this was this resin and this was this resin, I do believe it had to do with the heat setting that I was using, so I'll make sure that I explain that to you guys as well. When you're resining, you can actually use fresh flowers, so let's do one of those as well. We'll chuck one of those in there so that I can show you. I will just use this one today because I've got more of it left. So the first thing I need to do is I need to make sure I've got a good layer of resin right around that little ball too, because that's what's putting the hole in our charm. I will not show using a lighter, but if you have any air bubbles, you can sometimes pop them with a tool. Sometimes I try to do that, but usually I will just run a lighter over the top, and that will actually pop any bubbles in the resin. I just don't want to do that in case there are some children watching. So let's pop this fresh little guy in here and hope he fits. See how he goes. And I usually just use a really little paintbrush, and when the resin gets on it I just harden it so that it's got a nice hard surface, because you don't need the brush itself. So don't push it down too much because it will go through the bottom of the mold. And here is some pressed flowers, and let's just put a tiny little bit of this one in. You can use little tweezers too. Sometimes it makes it a little bit more accurate as to where you're putting them in the resin. Put a little white flower of, this is Queen Anne's lace. Thank you so much for the people that have been watching my tutorials telling me that it's not a snowflake flower, a snowflake weed, which is what I was calling it, and that it is actually Queen Anne's lace, which is a much prettier name. Okay, that will do for the purposes of our example. So then we put our second layer of bread on the top of our sandwich. Now this mold that I'm using, this will create a flat charm front and back. Okay, if you do want to do these ones, which I know it'll be hard to see, but they've actually got a rounded top and a flat back. I wonder if you can see that if I hold it sideways. That's this mold, that's the bigger one, and all of those have more of a rounded shape to them. Reasonable price though. Okay, so what we need to do, and what I did wrong the first time that I did it, was I just used the normal 60 seconds. Now you've got 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and then a low heat mode. So I thought I'd try the low heat mode, and that maybe it was just that it was setting too quickly, and that's what made it arc. So I now do that 3 times. So I won't hold you up for 3 times 99 seconds. I will do that off camera, and I will pop back once I have pushed this button 3 times. Okay, that's that done. Now, that is the top layer dry. Sometimes when I flip them out though, especially with the bigger molds, the back isn't quite dry. So I've decided to combat that. I just turn it over and cook it for another 3 minutes. So I will do that, and I will pop back and show you what it looks like once we pop them out of the mold. Okay, done. So now all you need to do is pop them out of the mold. They're nice and dry, both sides, neither side sticky. And now you've got, isn't that one beautiful? That's going to match my new journal. So stunning. And the fact that you don't have to press them is just fantastic. You can see a couple of little air bubbles in here. Like I said, you can use the lighter, just wave it across. And then all I do is either put a little jump ring on there, which I've just ordered some larger ones, which I'm going to need for these guys because they're a lot thicker through here, or chuck the ball chain on, or a jump ring and a lobster clasp as well. I quite like the way that looks. I think I might use that one. Imagine how neat that will look with that one on it in my journal. Yeah. Okay, so I also decided that it's not much point me saying to you that that will now work. This was the mold that I used. So if you'd like to keep watching, see if I boo-boo up again, feel free, that I tried to make these out of. Now, this is meant to be for wax seals, making wax seals. So I'm going to try again using the lower heat setting and see if it still does that or if it works this time. Okay, so let's go. First layer of bread. Now these ones, they don't have a hole obviously to put your jump ring through, so I would need to drill those. It's also really important to keep working on a surface that's as level as possible. Obviously we're working with liquid until it starts to harden, so if you don't want a lopsided resin charm, then you need to make sure that you're working on a leveled surface. So I'm going to put this guy in and this guy in. Like I say, you don't have to work with pressed flowers, but it is easier because you don't have to try and cover them as much as you do with bits that are sticking up if it's fresh. So if it's the first time you've tried it, I would probably give the pressed flowers a go. Okay, just make sure it's all covered. The reason why I tried this is because I liked the shape of it. I thought it was quite cool. Alrighty, let's see what happens. I'm going to do 3 on the front like I did the other one. Then I'm going on the low heat setting, then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to do the same again, and then we will come back and see if it worked or if it didn't. Okay, so while you were gone, I realized there was another variable, and that was that when I made my boo-boo ones, I used that resin, and I've just made one out of that. So I decided while I was off camera to make one of each, and it looks like it's still slightly doing the arcing thing, but these are definitely usable. And I honestly think it might have something to do with the white mold versus the see-through mold, because these ones, when I can do the back, the UV probably goes through it a bit more than when I do the back of this one. In saying that, I would be perfectly happy to drill a hole through that and use it in my journal. So I hope this tutorial has helped. I've got another one coming up that I've been requested for, and that is printing onto canvas and then doing a little bit of mixed media on one side on top of the printed canvas. There are a bit of a trick to that and a few errors that I've picked up on that could help. So keep an eye out for that one, and I'll see you guys next time.